Welcome back to the Midweek Update. Hey Mepham, welcome to the first episode of Midweek Update for the 2020 to 2021 school year.
I'm excited to be back after the last few months to start off the school year in person.
Today, we're going to be taking a look at what Mepham students and teachers did over the summer and discussing their return to school.
Plus, we have the debut of a new segment here to start off Season 3 of the show.
This and more as we take a look at what's going on this week on Midweek Update. I'm Haley Hepworth.
And I'm Riley Freed, and welcome back to the Midweek Update, the B&B show that brings you closer to the people and places in and around the Mepham community.
Like you said before, Riley, we're finally back in our studio. It was nice to not have to start off by saying what week of the shutdown we're in, like I did so many times last spring.
Definitely. But speaking of how we're back in person, we should clarify that Haley and I aren't actually in the same studio. We're socially distanced from each other and the rest of the crew since we don't have masks on and we're edited together.
It's the same situation that AJ and Michelle explained on the last episode of the morning announcements when we first started to record in this format.
But, Haley, this past morning announcements was important for more than just that reason.
That's right. Throughout the past few years, B&B has been putting out the morning announcements every Friday, and this last episode was the 100th episode.
What a huge milestone for AJ, Michelle, and the whole crew. B&B's Billy Kender recapped the last few years of the show.
This past week's morning announcements was the 100th episode since B&B started to make them a few years ago. Throughout the years, a lot of work has been put into the show by many students to make it better each year.
So for the morning announcements, I was the news director, and basically what I did is I just organized, make sure everyone was on pace to have whatever needs to be done for the week before the morning announcements. So we have a meeting, make sure everyone knew what they had to do, write the script, get the graphics done. So since AJ and Michelle started, that was like the official, I guess, beginning, you could say, of the morning announcements. And basically, it went from that, which was just every Thursday, people would go in the studio for 2 or 3 hours, and it'd just be get done. And then it transitioned to a full week thing.
Hi, I'm AJ Freed, and I can't believe that the school year is finally over.
My role is I'm the anchor. I've been anchoring since my freshman year, which we don't talk about.
So these have been the B&B morning announcements for Friday, December 8th.
I've loved every minute of it. I can't complain. I've never had a bad day when I was filming or doing anything for the morning announcements. Working with Michelle every year. I mean, I've known Michelle since preschool, so she's, been my friend since then. So it's, every time, even after the summer, we go back like it was, we haven't seen each other since yesterday.
My role in the morning announcements was to give Mepham the weather and also do special storm reports when there was a snowstorm or some type of tropical system coming up and possibly threatening us.
Hey everyone, it's springtime, and you can tell by the numbers behind me that spring has sprung. How about those Mets to start the season? They are 10-1 to start the year, so you can say they are on fire like the weather will be for this weekend. Now let's take a look at your weekend forecast.
I joined 9th grade as a brand new student. I was from Longwood out in Suffolk County. No one really knew me. When I started the morning announcements, everyone seemed to know me. I would always hear, "Hey, Mike Storm Daniels in the hall." And sometimes even when I'm at the fire department, I'll still get it. That's Mike Storm Daniels.
Working on around campus is a fantastic experience. I also get to meet a bunch of new people, people all around the school, athletes, and as I said before, class presidents. It's always nice meeting these Mepham students and Mepham alumni. So maybe if I see them again in the future, we would always have a fun story to retell.
And why should people come and see this play?
Well, it's a classic. I mean, it has been done.
Good
Good morning, Mepham. Today's day 3. Please rise and join us for the pledge.
On the morning announcements, I am an anchor alongside of AJ Freed. And basically, I sit there and report the news. I pretty much guide all the stories, I introduce everything. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Like AJ said, today's technically the last day of classes here at Mepham, which means it's officially summertime. But make sure you finish all your assignments though.
With the end of the school year, it means that it's time to recap what happened.
It's kind of fun actually, because I've had a few encounters where I'll just see someone outside of school and they'll be like, hey, you're the girl from the morning announcements. So it makes you feel kind of famous, but it's just a joke in a way, but it's a fun joke. So it's also a good conversation starter. I have 2 favorites. One of them is definitely when I had to speak German on the morning announcements. That took too many tries.
Now back to our lead story, Foreign Language Week, or as I like to say it in German, Frenzenruchenrachen. So in honor of Frenzenruchenrachen, Spencer Mattis sits down with Mepham's salutatorian and Spanish Honor Society president Gabby Danza for a very special around campus.
I don't know, there's been so many good moments that's just happened on it, whether it's been intentional or not. I don't know, I guess a classic would just be at the end how AJ and Michelle would always do something weird with each other. But I mean, there's been the storm, Mike the Storm Daniels. There's been Ava, chef cooking up a storm, which is the replacement to Mike the Storm Daniels.
Good morning, Mepham. I'm Ava Scheffler, also known as Ava Chef, cooking up a storm, and I'm here for your weekend forecast.
100 episodes of the B&B Morning Announcements is a huge milestone, but we aren't stopping anytime soon. Although things have been uncertain during these few weeks of school, B&B will continue to bring a sense of normalcy with our shows, including the announcements, every week. From B&B, I'm Billy Kender, and here's to 100 more.
Thanks, Billy. It was fun to see some of those moments from past episodes as the show progressed. Make sure to check it out after we're done if you haven't already.
Hopefully, we'll reach episode 100 soon, but in the meantime, we have a special event of our own.
Exactly. We have the first episode of our new segment called Decision Definitions, where we define terms that you may be hearing leading up to the election. Let's take a look.
Election Day 2020 is on November 3rd, and as teenagers, we're being bombarded with tweets, Instagram posts, TikToks, and Facebook posts. But we're teenagers, so we're not on Facebook. But they're out there, and they're all about the election. With all those social media posts, there is a lot of misinformation out there. We're not here to correct the misinformation on BNB's decision definitions. We're just going to try to explain some of the terms that you're seeing and hearing. If you want to learn what the candidates think about these things, the candidates have websites full of information. We're just going to explain the terms. Today's term, Supreme Court. The passing of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg over the weekend has moved the makeup of the Supreme Court to the top of the election news. One of the largest powers of the presidency is to nominate new justices to the Supreme Court when there is an opening. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the country, made up of 9 justices nominated by presidents and confirmed by vote in the Senate. Openings on the court tend to be rare due to justices receiving lifetime appointments. The Supreme Court can have a major effect on life in America when they rule on the constitutionality of the laws of the land. With the election less than 45 days away, and the debate swirling about whether a new justice should be nominated so close to an election, expect to hear lots of talk about the Supreme Court in the days and weeks ahead. So that's the Supreme Court. Like everything in America, there are lots of opinions and attitudes about how to handle filling Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat. BNB will have more on the life and career of Ruth Bader Ginsburg next week. But in the meantime, to learn more about the different opinions and sides, you'll have to do some research on your own. For Decision Definitions, I'm Charles Leschinski.
Thanks, Charles. It's important to learn terms like these so you can understand what's going on in the news.
Yeah, the election has been one of the big things that the news has been covering. But something else they have been talking about is, of course, the coronavirus pandemic.
As we have been trying to stay safe and stop the spread, government officials, teachers, and administrators have been focused on trying to get students back in school.
After the first 2 weeks of hybrid learning, BNB's Adam Barbera got the reactions and feedback of some people at Mepham.
The 2021 school year has finally arrived. But with the global pandemic, new guidelines have been implemented accordingly.
There have been new rules in every school, including social distancing guidelines, up and down staircases, and a hybrid style of learning for at least the first 2 weeks of school. All students had to quickly adapt to this new way of learning, as well as the safety measures in school.
I like learning in school with the guidelines. It's actually really well thought out, and it feels pretty safe. And everyone gets their temperature taken, the barriers, the masks, the temperatures. It's pretty well done, in my opinion.
While most students have had a positive outlook on the learning experience this year, teachers have also maintained a positive attitude regardless of the difficulties they've been faced with.
Oh man, it's awesome teaching a class, man. There's nothing better. I think I'm waiting for that day that we're all back in. And, whether that's next week or whether that's in, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, doesn't matter. I think we're just excited that it's a new school year. And I heard someone in the Bellmore-Merrick community say this, that just because it's different doesn't mean it can't be as great as we've done in years past.
Students and teachers both have the same mindset when it comes to the beginning of the school year, but parents are still quite concerned about the uncertainty of the upcoming year.
My initial thoughts about sending my son back to school at this point is that there's so much uncertainty. Nobody really knows what's going to happen when all the kids come back and they're going to be together in the same room. There's just too much uncertainty.
Although we know these guidelines have been effective as of recently, it'll only be a matter of time before we truly know how well they work as the year progresses. From B&B News, I'm Adam Barbera.
Thanks, Adam. As of this Friday, the district is planning on a full return, but we will of course have to continue to follow safety procedures.
Right. So it's good to hear what people have to say about things that have gone on so far. On a related note, so far this school year, not many activities have been allowed to begin.
This includes sports, but B&B's Connor Ward will still make his debut on Midweek Update in Mepham Sports, so let's hear what he has to say.
Hi, I'm Connor Ward, and this is your midweek week in Mepham Sports. As you all know, right now, there are no Mepham Sports, as we all wait patiently for the arrival of 2021, at which point, Nassau County and all of New York State will start a shortened winter, fall, and spring sports season, in that order, between January and June. As news about tryouts for all school teams become available, B&B's morning announcements and here on Midweek Update will be your first stop for the latest. You can also check out Tom Morrow and Lily Yepes on B&B Sports Talk, which will debut with an all-new cast and crew.
Thanks, Connor. Hopefully, as things continue to return to normal, Mepham athletes will be able to start playing their sports again.
For sure. But enough about what people can't do right now. To end off our show today, Jake Winkleman spoke to some Mepham students and teachers about what they were able to actually do this summer.
With a global pandemic leading into the summer, it put a lot of activities on hold for the rest of the year.
This summer was very different compared to other summers. Typically I visit family in Florida or other parts of the world, but this summer obviously we couldn't travel.
It felt long, I'll say that for sure. Filled with some good weather, but different, really different.
Yeah.
Good, but kind of boring due to quarantine and such.
Transitioning from middle school to high school is a difficult task in itself, but transitions during a pandemic just makes freshman year even more difficult.
Well, my mom was the one who really prepared me, and so did my brother. My brother's in high school with me right now, and they just sort of said, you can do this on your own. They taught me that in high school you're going to have independence because you are becoming an adult in high school.
Very nervous, and I was also very excited to see all of my friends again.
I was very nervous because you never know what happens on the first day of school.
Due to CDC precautions, the plans for school were changed numerous times throughout the summer, but the principals and BMCHSD staff members knew a way to get everyone to school in the safest way possible.
When I first heard we were going back to school, there was a nervousness. Like, how are we going to do that? Is it safe? All of sort of the health concerns. And then a few weeks after that first announcement, I felt like I was comfortable health-wise and really needed to get down to, well, how are we going to make this a good year for the kids?
Well, we were on a lot of Zoom phone calls with members from the central administration and the other principals, and we really wanted to make sure that the plan that we implemented, not only for the district but also for the school, was the best plan to keep students and faculty safe.
Once I was in front of students, my job was to be the leader, was to set the tone for a good year.
Just thinking about, how well are the students going to follow the protocols? How well are the faculty going to follow the protocols? Is there anyone infected, or will there be anyone infected? A lot of things run through your mind, and some things you can control and obviously some things you can't.
This summer was most definitely different and one of the most confusing summers we've ever experienced. For B&B, I'm Jake Winkleman.
Thanks, Jake, and congrats again on 100 episodes of the morning announcements.
I'm glad to see people were able to do some things over the summer. If you want to hear more about that, check out our summer special, B&B at the Beach.
Yeah, that was a really fun show. Well, that's it for this week's Midweek Update. We'll be back next week with all new stories from around the BMCHSD to bring you inside the parts of the community we don't always get to see.
Until then, I'm Haley Hepworth.
And I'm Riley Freed, and we'll see you next midweek.